Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Nice, quiet. Lili Nishma Simi Mirasi Rusmas Mordechai. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Mordechai Feldman. Anshel Feldman. From?
Right around here.
Right around there. Shalom Aleichem. We have a very choshev guest. I see in the back. Wie heißt die? Mendel Lerner. From Border Park. Mendel's here in the house. I don't know. We don't go. We don't. He's Litvish. He looks Litvish to me. Mendel, come. Why don't you come over here to the front? Can't see him on the camera. Okay. He's wearing a Bieber hit. I don't know what that is. Okay. Who else? What? Daron. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? I know you. Yeah, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Gadi Palek. Shalom Aleichem. Where did I see you? Where did I meet you? In Yerushalayim, no? Where did I meet you? No, we met. Of course we met. Gadi Palek. Okay, Rabbi Isai here. Check this out. No, where did I meet you? Do you remember where I met you? It wasn't that. Oh, I did. I met him outside. Tzaddik, Gadi, I met you outside of the Beis Medrash, remember? Yes. Okay. It wasn't that memorable for you, but it was very memorable for me. Here's Yaakov Yosef Ayal, our merch guy. He says before he posed for the picture. Nevertheless, it's a great picture.
Yeah, but I want to see him scuba diving.
Shalom Rebelli, these socks are spotted tonight at a wedding in Passaic. Turns out these are MDY socks. Turns out that the one and only Nassan Gans was wearing them. This was the wedding of my brother, Rami Kasper, to Nassan Gans' sister-in-law, Aderet Blazer. Being that I'm also part of MDY, it seems from here that not only members of the cult marry within, but also relatives of cult members also only marry within. Mazel Tov, Ari Kasper, RBS, Dalid. Over here we have Motti says, Rebellion, I'm doing the daf with you since Megillah. And yes, it's changed my life. I'm constantly seeing the pictures and videos people send you when I watch this shir. I sell cake for a parnasah and I service the stores weekly in the tri-state area. Last week I had a surprise waiting for me in rededication supermarket in Muncie, New York. Is that how you pronounce it?
Rededication.
Oh.
Ridiculous would be a pretty funny name.
Oh. Red Delicious. Everybody go shop at Red Delicious supermarket in Muncie, New York. It's, what's the word that I said yesterday? Conspiracy, hypocrisy. Well, how did I say it? Hypocrisy. I made up a thing. As I walked, Nachman, you would have had a glass yesterday. As I walked into the store, I noticed a Hasidic man works in the store putting together phone orders. Had some video playing on his phone in the shopping cart. You know, you ever wonder how come you get somebody else's chicken and that guy's thing? That's why. He's watching the shear while he's getting, okay. And then shopping cart, we got a little close and this is what I saw. I can't believe it. Okay. And here, Rabbi Isai, we have another 2-year-old trying to say good morning, Rabbi Isai. Here goes. Oops. I guess you have to do it a different way.
Good, Rabbi Isai.
Nice, it's a new generation of Torah, out with the days. And over here we have from Sammy Joseph, he says that art school also is a shtickle Panovich with their English. It said scarecropper instead of sharecropper on Daf Tzadik Gimel. So AB prefers using the art scroll so he can read all the notes. Maybe it's that a 12-year-old that came here. Very nice in English. Case in point, he joked that the art school also seems to have learned Panovich. Okay. Rabbi Isai, the Koil sponsored this month. That's all. Why? Ahron Fraiman, Lzchus, continue parnasah, siyadta, dishmaya, hatzlacha to rebelli. Parnasah chodesh number 2 by the Lock and Lebovic family is Lakewood NJ because Torah is the best segulah, and parnasah chodesh the third one, Liyanichmas Chaya Bas Yosef. This is a very, very special sponsor for today. This is a woman, Dorit Schonbrunn, in honor of my husband Joey's 50th birthday. Unbelievable. Everybody, a big mazel tov to Joey. Now, what's very special is I called up Dorit. She asked me to call her, so I called her, and she gave me a whole rundown about how she's so proud of her husband and how it's changed her husband's life and how it's changed her life. A whole thing He does the daf twice a day. He took upon himself many other things. So I know it's very scary. I'm holding right there, right before the 50. I'm very nervous about 50. 50 is a big number for me. So I wish you a tremendous mazel tov. Be'ezer Hashem, I'll get to meet you in person. Bekara from Dallas, Texas, Rabbis, Dallas, Texas. Okay, here we go. We're on top of Daf Tzadik Dalet Amud Aleph. So in the middle of a sugya, if we want, we could just read the three last lines. We have a question. Can an Eid Echad, can an Eid Shalom Aleichem guest come around? Do we have any extra seats here? Yeah, we have some seats. Come in. Shalom, what's your name?
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. Come, we have a seat right over here. Givaldi. Or over there. No, I want you closer to me, but okay, fine. Denver section. All right. So the Gemara goes on to say, remember, we said that perhaps when it comes to a Yevama l'shuk, for a Dechad to be mater a Yevama. How is he mater a Yevama? Two ways. Either he says, the Eid comes and says, the Yavam died, there is no Yavam, or he comes to testify that at the time of the death of the husband, there was a child still around, and then the child died later. So this is part from Yibum. Do we believe such an Eid, or don't we believe such an Eid? And then we said perhaps because she hates her brother-in-law so much, it's either love, hate, and Tais goes into that whole thing. Hate is stronger than love. Therefore, we say that she wasn't medayik. We don't have the svara that a woman looks into it and makes sure that the Eid Echad, it's not, you can't just rely on one Eid, obviously. So what's happening is we're trying to rely on the Eid Echad together with her research, and then we come up, but over here, since we don't trust her research, because she doesn't want to be married to the Yavam, so she's going to trust the Eid Echad fully without going into it. I have a riddle, very, very negef to Daf Tzadik Beis and Tzav. What does this have to do with Daf Tzadik Daled? Any genius? Nobody. Daf 94. Daf 94. Now. Who got me this? F94. And we need F94. It's tremendous chizuk that he's still going strong. That's all the guys are going strong in New York and Yevamos. Yishkoyach. Hardly ever used. Only for chashuvim. All right. Huh? Who? F94? Hint. Akiva Solkowitz. Welcome to the Daf. Tzadik Dalet. Omalu Rav Sheshes. To Nisua. I have a raya whether or not a Dechad is believed that a woman is potter from Yibum. She could go get married to whoever she wants, that her Yavam is dead. Nisua. We learned it. Another case in the Mishnah. Amr la, meis balich v'achkach meis b'neich, v'nises, v'achkach amr la, chiluf hayu advarim. Let's see if we have this case here. Here, they're married. And then they say that the husband went bye-bye. So therefore, she's potter from Yibum. But then they said it was reversed. The son died afterwards. And then she went and she got married to a random person. So it says, since it was the reverse, she had no right marrying that other person because she's a Yevama and she has a Yavam. Teitze, Vavlad Rishon v'Achron Mamzer. Take a look what's going on over here. You have the Vlad Rishon, Vlad Achron. They're both Mamzerim, meaning before she knew that she was married illegally, after she was married, after she found out that she can't be married, they're both Mamzerim. By the way, I forgot to say, Zach Shulovitz, last day here in Eretz Yisrael, right? Not for a long time. Be'ezer Hashem will come back. Mm-hmm. But he's leaving yeshiva, Leva Torah, and he's been doing the daf since Megillah, right? Great guy, comes all the time to Beis Medrash. So, he is over here. What do you mean? Zach, have hatzlacha in America. Don't let all the shtusim, all the gashas get to you. Continue the daf. Convince your father to do the daf. Hey Chidami, says the Gemara, what's the case? Our Mishnah, what's the case? Eli Mitrei Trei. My chazis the samchas ahanis moichani. So if this sounds familiar, we had exactly these same words, the same argument at the end of yesterday, on the other case. So what's the case here? If there are two Eidim that testified that she could get married, that the Yavam is dead, and then two Eidim came afterwards and said no, so it's 2 against 2. Va'id, another question, Mamzer, you're going to call her children, that little guy, a Mamzer? Safek Mamzer. She got married based on the testimony of 2 Eidim. 2 Eidim come and say that she shouldn't have gotten married. Okay, so you have a Safek at least. But why are you calling it a definite Mamzer? Same thing, same word for word that we had yesterday. Any of you will say that the Mishnah wasn't medayik in its word. It didn't mean mamish a mamzer. It meant a Safek mamzer. Didn't want to stick in the. It figured you understand. Hamidik tani seifa harishim mamzer ve'achron einoi mamzer. Shmamina daf kektani. It says that the second kid, once she found out. So what's happening? In the case, we had the original Mishnah, the case where this woman found out that her husband is dead, she got married to a second guy. Then Eidim come along and they say, no, when you got married, your husband was still alive. Today he's not alive. One child was born when he was alive equals what? A mamzer. One child is born after he died, not a mamzer. So from the fact, this explains this. From the fact that the Mishnah says, Einoi mamzer, it's not a mamzer. But you know what? It is a little bit of a mamzer. Midrabanan, it is a mamzer. She has to get divorced midrabanan. So the kid is midrabanan a mamzer. But the Mishnah considers it not a mamzer at all. So you see that the Mishnah doesn't just call a semi-mamzer a mamzer. It's either a mamzer or not a mamzer. The Mishnah says, the Rishon mamzer, it's 100% a mamzer. V'achron einir mamzer. Even though that midrabanan might be a mamzer, einir mamzer. So don't tell me that the Mishnah is not medayik. The Mishnah is very medayik. Shmamino the dafka katani. So it can't be that we have 2 Eidim against 2 Eidim. Elalav chad. So we're talking about there's 1 Eid that testifies, and this is what we're trying to prove. We're trying to prove whether or not 1 Eid has the power to allow a woman to get married to whoever she wants and not worry about a yavam. The time it doesn't mean trevak cheshua. And the reason why she has to get divorced and everything is because 2 Eidim came afterwards and they were makrish the first Eid. But without that, 1 Eid is believed. Fine. So the Gemara slugs it up and says, no. It's 2 Eidim say that she could get married, then a day later 2 Eidim come and say the husband is alive and well, she can't be married. So what do we had a question? If it's 2 against 2, so kimandalesa, forget about it. So she can remain married. Why does she have to get divorced? It's 2 against 2. No, what we're talking about is the second Eidim are not just testifying that the husband is alive, but they're also testifying at the same time that the 2 Eidim that originally testified, they're liars. Imanu Ayisem, you weren't even there. You weren't in America. You're in Eretz Yisrael at the time. What are you hacking? So they're contradicting the Eidim, not just in the Eidos, but in who they are, in their character. They're liars. Both. Yeah, according I saw in Ahron Fraiman says this. The different what? Yeah, no, it seems like there's a eidos. The Mishnah says there's a eidos, and in addition, they're being mazim. Yeah, that's what it seems like. I saw some Ahron saying before like that. I think others argue. Fine. I just had a question here yesterday that sent the whole coil into a spin. Why didn't the Gemara say this on Amud Beis yesterday? We had the same exact raya from the other part of the Mishnah, and we said if it's 2 and 2, then it's 2 against 2. So it must be 1, and then here you see you could trust 1. That was on Meis Balech, and then we asked the question on Meis Yevamos. Do we trust Meis Yevamos? And now the Gemara comes up with Azama. They're looking. I found last night, mamish close to midnight, a Ramban that says Einachanami. It's the same thing. I called up my chavrusa all excited, but I don't think it was up. I didn't want him to go to sleep without knowing. Like, they didn't know what to do. It's like didn't make it. Like it was either a really dumb question, or like, but nobody spoke about it. Nothing. No art scroll, garnished. But the Rambam Baruch Hashem, I think, does say that in a chanami you could apply this pircha also, because it seemed like almost like it's a great raya. One aid is nema. No, maybe it's talking about two aidim. I have the question, is 2 against 2? No, we're talking about azama. Okay. I still have to, if you see him in the morning when he comes in for chakras, maybe let him know, because I'll probably forget. Tashma. Is one aid believed to say to Yevama, you're not a Yevama. Your Yavam is dead. Or your husband died before your child died, and therefore you're pater. Tashma. A woman is not believed on herself to say, oh, my Yavam died. And she's also not believed to say, my sister died, and therefore I can marry my sister's husband, my brother-in-law. Right? Then we're going to talk about that. A chaysisha, you're not allowed to marry, a man is not allowed to be married to 2 women. So she also has that issue. She can't be married together with her sister to the same man. So she testifies her sister died. We don't believe her. Says the Gemara, so you can be medayik. She's not believed. Okay. So you could believe 1/8. Says the Gemara, that's not a good raya. Why? But let's continue. Let's see if it fits into the rest. A man is not believed that my brother died, and therefore I could be miyav my sister-in-law. Not believed on his own brother. And the same thing reversed. He can't testify that his wife died. She fell off the cruise ship, and now he can marry the sister-in-law. So make the same argument. Oh, it seems like the husband himself is not believed, but a different guy, a stranger, is believed. One guy, one stranger. But that makes no sense. Why? Because if you think about it, the only time we believe Eid Echad is in our sugya because of aguna. Mishum aguna yikilu barabanan. Why in the world would we believe Eid Echad on a man, to let a man get married? Get married to as many women as he wants. La halacha. He's not an agun. There's no such thing as a man that's an agun. At least in the time of the Gemara. Hello. This halacha of Eid Echad is believed the Rebbe Akiva Itzrich. Rebbe Akiva says it's very severe that even though if she gets married to somebody else instead of her Yavam is still alive, but she gets married to somebody else, that's only a Isser Lav. There's no cars. Yet, but according to Rebbe Akiva, it's a terrible thing. It's a disaster. Why? Her children turn out to be mamzerim. So she's going to be super careful, and if she's super careful, we can't trust her. Komash malon. And Rashi takes out this line over here. Rava Omar. I have proof. You're asking me, can an aid be trusted that this woman is mutter to the world? She's not chayiving yibum. Yes, I have a kavachomer. Why? Makes a lot of sense what he's saying. Lis or kores. Hold on a second. Schmack of water, Avi. I didn't mean to. You got to get ready for that bag ride, no? There you go. Rava Ma'idech never be involved in kavachomer. Lis or kores itarto. Lis or lav like kolchkein. If Eid Echad comes and says, Meis Balech. So what is he testifying? That she's not Eishes Ish. She can marry the world. That's the worstest in the world, right? Almost. We're going to see that it's not such a, it's considered kal compared to other things. Fine. Eishes Ish. 1/8 is believed to be Mater Eishes Ish. But Isser Lav, Lekolchkein. So certainly that Eid Echad should be believed to let her be over a Lav. The worst that she's going to be over is a Lav. If the Yavam is still alive and she married somebody else, it's not Eishes Ish. She's over and alive. Yeah? If we trust Eid Echad to be Mater Eishes Ish from the Gimel Chamurais, so certainly we should believe that same Eid Echad to allow her to marry anybody in the world, and the most that she's going to be over is a lav of not marrying outside of the Yibum. I don't know why he doesn't bring his name. It's a bomb question he asks Rava. What are you talking about? It's not a good kavachomer. Forget the aid. You're trying to prove to me when a stranger comes and testifies that her husband is dead, we believe him. Certainly, if he testifies that the Yavam is dead, we should believe him. But wait a minute. She herself could prove to you the opposite. The woman herself, if she testifies in Bezdin that she saw her husband fall off the cruise ship, she's believed. On the husband, on the Eishes Ish, L'isur Lav, Lo Yitarta. But at the same woman is not believed to say that her Yavam died and that she's mutter. This sugi that we just learned. So, Minei Ubei, your whole Kavachomer is out the window. You see that we don't prove anything from Eishes Ish. Yes, for Eishes Ish she's believed, and for Eishes Ish, the Eidechad is believed. For Yavam, she's not believed, and the Eidechad is not believed. There's no raya. Veli, my time, and I'll explain to you the logic behind it. What's the reason? The kiv, the sanyale, lekadaiko minsaba. She doesn't want to be stuck with this guy just because she married his brother. She has to be married. She has to be married to the Yom for the rest of her life. So she's not going to look into it. She's going to trust the Eidechad. The kiv, the sanyale. Why is a woman not believed on her Yavam? She's believed that her husband died, but she's not believed that the Yavam died. Because she doesn't want to be married to him. Therefore, we can't trust the Eidechad either. You already asked one kasha today. It was a good one. Fine, it was a good one. I'll give you another one. No? What? Oh, so I was thinking about that. We learned there was a machlokes Rashi and Taisus. Taisus says that it's not just. Remember when we learned the sugya of. I didn't look into it, but when we learned the sugya of mukashchin. So there's a passage that says she could get out of it if it's mukashchin. Tais says all good reasons. Rashi doesn't. We go with Rashi. Rashi doesn't hold that. What exactly Tais is going to do here? I think. Don't quote me because my memory is terrible. But I remember such a sugya of if could any reason apply. At the end of the day, you could be kind of Yevamos about karchach. It's a thing. So when yes, when not, Tais has to talk to you, to explain to you. So we learned Zemedrash Darish Rebbe Lazar ben Masya. That what if the second guy, the aide testifies the husband died, and the second guy comes along and he doesn't do a full nisuin, he does erusin. He's just mekadesh. He gives her a ring. They weren't over or anything. She accepted a ring from a guy. So we learned that even if that second guy gives her a get, the get is zero. What do we care if it's zero? First of all, the marriage is zero. You can't be married to another man if you're married to the first guy and the first guy's alive. You thought he's dead, but he's alive, so the marriage is never chal. So the get that he gave her is zero. But sometimes a get that he gives her, she doesn't need a get, but that get ruins it for kahuna. Over here says Rebbe Lazar ben Masya, it doesn't ruin for kahuna. Or listen to this lashon. Or Rav Yudam Arav, Havelele Rebbe Lazar the Midrash Bay Marganisa. He could have pulled out of this pasuk a diamond v'darash Bay chaspa, and he pulled out a piece of broken glass, a piece of broken shard. He missed his opportunity. He missed an opportunity, a beautiful opportunity to get a diamond there. In other words, to say that the guy that's not married to her at all, zero marriage, and he gave her a get, it's like stam a guy in the street goes over to a woman, gives her a get. Is that possible for kuna? Then her husband dies afterwards. She's an almana. She grusha also because some Meshuggah decided to give her a get. This guy is also not related to her at all. He had no business being married to her. So that was a pasha this far. You don't have to use the pasuk all the way for that. But listen to this, he says. Even if the husband gives her a get, there's a certain get he gives her and it doesn't do anything. Doesn't affect her isser tekuna. The what? The sanya. Visha grusha meisha. She's divorced from her husband. So he wanted to taina from her husband and not from a stranger or a guy that thinks he's her husband. But no, I have a better pshat. Afilu nizgarsha ela meisha psul kuna. Vainu reach again the poisel bekuna. So for care, this pasuk is coming to say something else. That what? This is a big chiddush. The husband gave her divorce and said, "You are only divorced from me and from nobody else in the world." So it's not a good get. And I would think, Hariyad mugureshes mimeni viat muteres l'chol adam. But you're not mutter to the whole world. You're divorced from me, not mutter to the world, he says. What kind of divorce is it? You don't have to be with me, great, but you're also to everybody else in the world. It's like a half a get. So obviously it's not a good get. But this is called a reach get. It's a schmeckt get. It smells like a get, and therefore that ruins it for Kuna. She continues to be married to this guy, but if this guy dies, she can never marry a kohen because she's a little bit divorced with this silly get that he gave her. And that we learn from this pasuk. That, you're shaking your head. That's an unbelievable diamond. Because you don't believe it. It's like, doesn't make sense. Oh, it's a mefurish pasuk. That's what he should have darshan. You left a beautiful pshat on the table. All right. Zok the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by the wrong Kornblut, Lzchus Nishmas, my dad, Uri ben Matisyo, and Teruchnis and Gashmis of my kids. Mi shalchish l'medina sayam. So a woman went out of the country. Now the Gemara, I just want to be magdim a little bit. You don't have to learn it pshat right now, maybe, but the Gemara is going to say that we're talking about also when the brother-in-law went with her to Medina Sayam. So it goes like this. Oh, you have two couples here. You have Ruvain and Rachel, and dentist and Leah. So Rachel and Leah are sisters. You see, they're identical. Sisters. And Rachel and the dentist, they go off to Medina Sayam. So Ruvain, who is married to Rachel, marries Leah, marries his sister. Why? They found out the ship went down, everybody died. So now Reuven decides he can marry Leah, just married, they're married, happily married, until, knock on the door, we're back. So what happens? The same thing that we discussed, Nachamo. Reuven was married to Rachel. Rachel has a sister Leah. Leah's usher 100% to be married to Reuven because she's a chaysisha. But because the two of them, it's a little confusing, but I'm putting it in here because we're going to have to see it tomorrow extensively, this case. Because the brother-in-law took his sister-in-law Rachel on a trip, on a cruise, and they died. They thought they died. Adam came and said they died. So Mela Reuven went ahead and married Leah. Okay. Now, Rachel shows back up. She shows up. So Reuven is also to be married to the sister. But he's allowed, listen to this chiddush, he's allowed to go back to his wife. He didn't know. What else do we have here? Oh, that's the next one. Okay. Says the Mishnah. Two Eidim l'chayra. We'll see. Two Eidim, one Eid. Maybe we won't see. A little confusing. Part of it is two. Part of it is one. Amru, they told him, your wife died. V'nasa is achaysa. And he went ahead and he married Leah. V'achar kach bas ishto. And then his wife shows up. Muteres lachzer loy. She's permitted to come back to him. Now, before we go on, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Hillel Zand, sponsored in honor of Eli, etc., etc. Umuter b'kroi v'shniya. That's the huge chiddush. The relationship that Reuven had with Leah is zero. They were never married. They weren't allowed to be married. It was a mistake. So therefore, since there's no marriage, Reuven could go ahead and marry Leah's daughter. Even though he had a lot of relationships with Leah, but it wasn't a real relationship, it wasn't marriage. The only time Reuven becomes usher in that girl, that little girl, Leah's daughter, is if he had a halachic marriage with Leah, but it wasn't halachic. So maybe he's mutter to the daughter. Ushniya, and what about Leah herself? Mutar is b'kroivav. She's allowed to marry Reuven's brother, whatever, kroivav. V'meisa rishayna mutar b'shniya. And if the first sister dies, he's allowed to go back to the second one. Very, very interesting. Even though they had an illegal relationship. Nothing, yeah, it was nothing. It was a mistake. It was usher. Nothing happened. Amrullah, and we're going to see, look, there's no Xeris over here. There's no Drabba. So, Amrullah, Meisi Ishtai. They told him that his wife died, and because of that he married his sister, like we learned in the first case. And then Edim Zayrim, like we said, talking about Kayemes, Hoisav Umeisa. So there, the Mishnah just separates it into two stages. They said there was two stages. First, when you married the sister, your wife was still alive, so that part was illegal. But now it's legal for you to be married to her, like the Mishnah said, you're allowed to marry afterwards. So continue being married. Havlad Rishon Mamzer, Havlad Rishon Mamzer, V'achrin a Mamzer. So the child that they had when they were legally married is a Mamzer. The child that they had later when they were legally married is not a Mamzer. Over here, we're not going to explain anything because we have to explain it tomorrow. Rabbi Yossi Omer Kolcha Poisal Yedei Acherim Poisal Yedei Atzmoi V'chol Shein Poisal Yedei Acherim Elu Poisal Yedei Atzmoi. So we're going to see what does it mean exactly. We're going to start the Gemara. We'll see a little bit what it means, but basically it's a sugya tomorrow on Tzadik Amud Beis. V'afagav says the Gemara. V'afagav dozal ishtay v'giso l'mdinas hayom. So going back over here, even though the dentist, his brother-in-law, and his own wife went off on a cruise. So what's the difference? So went the brother-in-law. The hani that it works, hani nisuin, the kamitzura ishes gisoy agisoy. Look, what happens is, I don't know, do I have that? Oh, yeah. The dentist is no longer allowed to be married to his own wife because his own wife had an illegal relationship with Reuven. She's a Sish. Nothing to do with that. She's an Sish. She can't go back to her husband. She should have looked into it. Whatever, however we want to learn. She got married with one aid, or she should have looked in better, or we hold even two aidim, she can't go back. Whatever it is. Nevertheless, even though from this cruise ship, from this story, a terrible thing happened, one woman is completely usher to her husband, nevertheless, we don't care about Rachel. Rachel could go back to her husband, Reuven. And that's where Rabbi Yossi holds not like that. Rabbi Yossi holds if one is also the other is also, and that's the sugya tomorrow. One is dependent on the other, sort of. So I'm sorry. Over here, the dentist, the gis, the brother-in-law, is usher to his sister-in-law, to Reuven's sister-in-law. We're talking about Reuven, from Reuven's perspective. His brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Leah and the dentist, are usher to each other. Ishtai, the wife of Reuven, Sharia Rachel is mutter to Reuven, we don't say Mitosh and Esra Ishes Gisoy Agisoy. We don't say since Leah is usher to his brother-in-law, the dentist. Tiyasar Ishtay Olav. That's exactly what Rabbi Yossi holds? No, we don't say that. Great. Like Rabbi Kiva, perhaps our mission doesn't go according to Rabbi Kiva. That's interesting because, the other Mishnah was Rabbi Kiva, so this one is not like Rabbi Kiva. I think the Gemara is going to say it could go like Rabbi Kiva. The Gemara wants to say that perhaps it's not Rabbi Kiva. Why? The Rabbi Kiva, Havilah, Achos Grushase. Beautiful thing. How could Reuven remarry or get back with his wife if he must divorce Leah? And the halacha is you can't marry even the sister of a divorcee. You can't be married. Reuven can't be married to Rachel if Reuven divorced Leah. Oh, but according to Rabbi Kiva, you do. That's the chap. If you have to divorce her, if Reuven has to divorce Leah, they had this illegal relationship. Instead of her just bye-bye, okay, the husband and the wife come home. Oh, Shema Yisrael, we had 3 kids together and we had a great life, but I'll see you later with no divorce. Okay. But if you hold, you have to divorce her, so like nobody talks, or whatever the reason is, Gzeira, then he would be usher to get back with his own wife because she's Achos Grusha. She's the sister of a divorce. This is something we just learned, that all darais, if somebody marries his own mother and they tell him, what are you doing? So he doesn't have to go give her a get. It never grabbed that marriage. Besides the case that we had in the Mishnah that a woman who's a Ish gets married based on the testimony of one aid. And then here's Rebbe Kiva. Here, even Achois Isha, we don't even know what the case is. But for the question, it's great. It says Achois Isha. You must, if you by mistake marry your wife's sister, they told you that your own wife is dead, so you marry her sister, you have to give your wife's sister a divorce. So if you have to give her a divorce, how in the world could you remarry your wife or get back together with the wife?
Because if you divorce the second woman, that's your grusha, but you already married to your wife. If you remarry her, then it's not called grusha. But if you were married to her already, you're divorcing this wife now, maybe it's different.
I hear. And what if the sister was born after you're married? Say, at the end of the day, you're married. It comes out you're married. I hear. It's a nice svara, but that's not the halacha. At the end of the day, you're married to. He's asking that maybe it's different because the man is already married to this woman, and the divorce came after. The divorce to her sister came after. He's already married to Rachel, and then he divorced Leah afterwards. So how would that affect his marriage to Rachel? He's asking, but it does. You're not allowed to be married. Tachor's grusha. What?
Nice try, but not halal.
Yeah. That's not the halacha. Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Kiva by get. Memela itasrali. So immediately she becomes asitim. The havilacha is grusha. So she becomes the sister of a grusha. Says the Gemara. This is a nice try, but you forgot to mention the case. If you just take the words, okay, Achoisisha needs a get. But what is the case? It's not a case that applies to our Mishnah, and therefore our Mishnah could go according to Rabbi Kiva. You already explained, in the name of Rav. What is the case though? Going, Rabbi Isai, it's not our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is talking about a married woman. Over here, it's a different case. All he did was he gave her a ring, he was Mekadesh her. And he heard that this woman that is Mekadesh, I'm sorry, he went to Midin Sayam. So the brother heard that his own brother died. So he went and he married the Mekudeshes. Says the Gemara explains. What are people going to say? People are going to say, why did a brother marry his brother's wife? He married her because there was a Tanai in the Kiddushin. So you can make a Tanai in anything. You can make a Tanai in a marriage. You can make a Tanai in a Kiddushin. You can say, if you don't do this and this and that, if this and this doesn't happen, the Kiddushin is over. But you'll never do that in a marriage. Why? Why wouldn't somebody do that in a marriage? Because then it comes out that every time you had relations with your wife, it was nus. And they know them say bilas nus. So that only applies, this idea of a Tanai only applies in a Kiddushin. And therefore, v'hai shaper nasiv. So people are going to say, the second guy, he got married legitimately. And so now that he got married legitimately and he just walked out on her without giving her a get, now people are going to start saying rumors. They're going to say, you let it divorce, you could just leave your wife without a divorce. Fine. And the same thing would happen, which we're talking about now. Same exact thing. What's the case? He was Mekadesh a woman, and the man went. What? Who? Yeah. You got to read. He's Mekadesh a woman again, and she went to Midin Sayam. And he heard that she died, and therefore and he married her sister. People are not going to say anything about it. They're going to understand that there's a Tanai here. And he got married, and therefore you have to give a get. Then that's why Rabbi Kiva comes along and says, give a get, because people think it's a legitimate marriage. But in our case, it's not a legitimate marriage. Nobody's going to say that. Nobody does a Tanai in their marriage, and therefore you don't need a get. And if you don't need a get, there's no shiloh of, he's married to Achois Grusha. So the Mishnah can go even according to Rebbe Kiva. So when Rebbe Kiva says you have to give a get, it's talking about only in a case by Kiddushin, not by Nisuin. And our Mishnah is Nisuin. Omalei Rav Ashi Rav Kahana. Rav Akiva. Okay, so you're telling me our Mishnah goes like Rav Akiva? Listening to me, Chamoisoi, great question. Why doesn't it say a case that a person heard that his wife died, so he went in and married his own mother-in-law? Then what's the obvious answer? I just thought about that now. Okay. We're talking about Mishagayim. We're talking about normal people. Who marries their mother? Okay, fine. And over here, insert all the mother-in-law jokes. I said this 3 weeks ago, but every 3 weeks you got to say the same joke. The guy was walking down the street in Borough Park, and he hears the guy screaming, "Help, help!" He says, "What happened?" He says, "My mother-in-law wants to jump." She says, "No, Adarabba, it's great." He says, "Yeah, but I can't get the window open." I didn't just say it. Oh, listen to this. I don't know about you, but when I read it, I read it like the teretz of the Gemara. Rebbe Akiva holds that a mother-in-law, after the wife dies, it's like almost like a choisisha. Once the sister dies, once your wife dies, you can marry the sister. Once your wife dies, you can marry your mother-in-law. But look at the lashon; it's a funny lashon. There's no shreifa. Mashma, there's something else. No. Now the Gemara understands it's 100% mutter. So if it's 100% mutter, you thought you're doing something that's mutter. You heard that your wife died, but this is only Rebbe Akiva. If the Mishnah goes according to Rebbe Akiva, there should have been another case of a mother-in-law. You thought you're allowed to marry her, and then the wife comes back, knocks on the door, sees her mother in the house, Hashem Yirachem. It says in the Pasuk, Isha sheyikach isha, bes ima, married a daughter and a mother-in-law. Zima hi baish yisrafu oisai v'esen. What in the world? What is oisai? Okay, oisai I understand. You kill him. What's esen? You kill both women?
One of them.
But it says esen, both. How can you kill both? The first wife, your original wife, what did she do? She's not over Yisurim. She was married to you legally. You went ahead and you were over with the mother-in-law, so that's why you're going to kill her? Obviously, that's not the pshat. So what is the pshat? Rashi says that in Greek, eshen means one. One. That's what it means. So what does it mean? The Gemara is going to explain. There's no machlokes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva. It's just how we say the word. The Rabbi Shmuel also have a chadik siv. It means you kill him and you kill her. One. Rabbi Akiva saw a tartik siv shapir. In other words, that a person can be over with his mother-in-law and his mother-in-law's mother. That's what the pasuk is coming to say. If a person is the world's greatest meshugana, I mean, there's meshugayim that marry their mother-in-law, but there's a meshugana who marries his mother plus her mother. He's chayiv. The mother-in-law's mother also dies. Tardik siv shapir. That the word shteim means that they both have to be alive. V'esa means a different pshat. He's mechulak Rabbi Shmuel. In order for the husband to be chayiv misa, the wife and the mother-in-law have to be alive at the same time when he was over. If the wife died, you're not chayiv misa by being with the mother-in-law. It says v'esen. They both have to be alive. Yeah? No? Says the Gemara, listen to Chamoisai. According to that, it should also say Chamoisai. You're right. Rabbi said, don't close your Gemaras yet. Let's try to get a little bit to Daf Tzadikeh. We need it for tomorrow. The Torah says that's how you should read it. Yes, if the wife dies, you're not chayiv sreifa, but misur mimiyat akra. Of course, it's aser, and therefore it's not in the Mishnah. You can't say something that to say a case that he married his mother when it was aser. We're not talking about that. Says the Gemara of how could he get back with Rachel, his wife, if he had relations with Leah, the sister? It should be also just like a woman. We penalize her. We give her a knas. Somebody wrote to me, a guy in Koilo. Don't forget to say, not our Koilo. I'm serious. Yuri Gold's son, David Gold. Medinas Hayam is MDY. Mem Dalid Yud. Fine. Something like that. I think that's what he meant. So I said it in his name and he got the thing, but I didn't want to say it because it says that you kill everybody. And they went to Medina Sayyam. I don't know, it's not a good zach. Okay, so over there we give her a knas. So we should give him a knas. He should have looked at, I don't know what, he shouldn't have been with his sister-in-law. A woman, when she's over Eishesish, as the pasuk says, she's also to be with her husband. So we say also that B'shoigeg, she can't be with her husband. There's no Issa Deraisa that doesn't answer the wife. And the Gemara explains better. How do you know that your wife doesn't become Aser? If the wife herself is over Isser, then she becomes Aser. But you can't Aser your wife because you were with her sister. Now, 1 minute before you close. Perhaps it's a kavachomer. You hear this? This is an unbelievable chiddush. Eishes ish is a light isser. Why? Because at the end of the day, you could give your wife a divorce, and that man she wanted to be with is mutter to her all of a sudden. There's a way for her to be with that ish, where other things not. Makom shabali sechamor enudin shenesar ha'isr. So, yeah. So Eishes ish, which is kal, nevertheless, she becomes also makom shabal is a chamor. If you divorce your wife, her sister doesn't become mutter. The only time she becomes mutter is if the wife dies. So maybe it's more chamor than Eishes ish. And it didn't shenesar ha'isr. Atkan. I would say that kavachomer kamash malon the pasuk, and that have a wonderful day.